Welcome to 15K plus random movie reviews, where we take random movies from Metacritic's 15K plus movies to randomly watch whether we like it or not. Hello and welcome to episode 22 of 15K plus random movie reviews. This is Colin.
And this is Niall.
And this is random movie number 1580 on Metacritic's all-time movie list. It's a movie called Huesera, the Bone Woman.
And it's not actually who is Sarah, it's Huesera. Very important distinction.
Yeah.
That's what I was Googling when first you read this out.
All right, really?
Yeah. Who is Sarah?
Who is Sarah, Who is Sarah,
That would be a much better movie.
Yeah. It's from 2023. Metascore of 81, but a user score slightly lower at 6.5. So we'll discuss that later. Took in a box office 1.6 million. I don't know what the budget was, and it ran for 93 minutes. It's directed and written by Michelle Garza Severa, and it has 7 wins and 27 nominations, all in all. And something about Tribeca. I think something happened in Tribeca. They won something, or were nominated for something there. Other than that, I don't really have a lot of knowledge about the people in the background. I don't know if you garnered anything.
Spot of Googling, but nothing really. Like there's a bunch of stuff. Well, some of the actors, the main guys are kind of newcomers. But the stuff that they've been in since or just before certainly isn't on my radar.
Yeah, I read it. I glanced over an interview with the main director, and she said something about she liked horror movies that most of the fear was off screen. So we can discuss that.
And she absolutely goes for that approach. You know, it's not in your face. It's more of a Cloverfield / Blair Witch type thing going on.
Yeah, the Blair Witch definitely in the last act. It definitely came to mind. We'll get to that in a nutshell. But what about general plot? How would you sum it up in a sentence or two?
I guess there's two ways of looking at it. On the surface, it's a body horror movie about a woman and her husband who want and do get pregnant and have a child, and who are visited by some, what would you call, wobbly-necked specters with broken bones that are freaking out the mother. And she turns to the help of 3 witches to have this demon dispelled. And hilarity ensues.
Well, yeah, hilarity is the opposite of what ensues. Yeah. That's pretty much the last act is when she actually finally, pretty much for the majority of the movie, she's pregnant and the baby has not arrived out into the world. And it's interesting that it continues on when she's still actually a mother, and we can get into that later on. But it starts off the scene actually. The movie starts off with quite an interesting. It's always kind of scary to start off with a religious background. You know, you got. The Exorcist and the Omen, you know, they all start off with religious type things.
And it starts off with quite pointedly that there's a lady going up a massive set of stairs on her knees and reciting some prayers of some description.
Hail Mary.
Hail Mary, yeah, in Spanish. But obviously,
turned on the subtitles, right?
Yeah, I did. I didn't try to learn Spanish overnight. No. It's kind of creepy, but it's always going to be slightly creepy, you know. And the way it's shot as well, I found like that scene is kind of a little bit left of center in that it's almost an unreal sort of lighting they've used on it, which kind of put you on edge. Well, I found it on edge with it.
Yeah, I find religious stuff scary when it's filmed correctly and eerily. I felt that obviously we didn't really know what was going on. Obviously we knew what was going on when the relatives that are with her put their hands in her stomach and it was like,
blessing her womb and then saying things about blessed is the womb, the fruit of my womb Jesus.
You don't remember your prayers. You're not a good
Of course I don't.
Catholic
I haven't
boy.
said them in like 30 years.
Blessed is the womb of. No, I don't even remember. No, I know what it is. Blessed is the fruit of thy
The
womb,
fruit of
Jesus.
thy womb, Jesus. Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
One of those. Go to
Jesus. But hang on a sec. I didn't even analyze that before. Blessed is the fruit of
hell.
thy womb, Jesus.
There. There's a comma is important at the end.
Yeah, but it's still his womb.
Jesus. The womb, comma, Jesus. Jesus is the fruit.
Oh, right. There should be a colon.
We love an alcohol in this show.
Yeah, so we find out Valeria is the main protagonist in this story, and yeah, so like it lingers, it kind of pans out from the statues at the end, and it gave me a very Bioshock Infinite sort of vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whole massive golden statue, and yeah, it's a kind of a very. I'm assuming this is a real statue and it exists in Mexico.
I was thinking about
really
that.
Creepy thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Whether it was, I'm
baby
sure it
coming
was.
out of the ground with a massive Mary on top. Like Jesus.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So then it sort of goes.
Sorry.
That's yeah. You don't want any broken bone monsters visiting you.
This is true.
So yeah, that statue is it's a spiky statue of Mary. There's like spikes coming out of it,
Yeah.
which adds to the eeriness of it. Now that segues into a very abstract shot of a burning Mary type figure, which then sort of comes around at the end of the movie. So you don't really know what the hell's going on, literally.
Yeah.
It's sort of from spiky Mary to burning Mary. I wrote down.
Yeah. And maybe it might not be Burning Mary, but we find out more about that later. But then the Burning Mary, and then a bit of credits, and then it's kind of sexy time with the Raul, the husband.
Yeah, goes straight into it.
There's no waiting around. They have the sexy time. Then next scene, her legs are up in the air. She's obviously trying to get pregnant. Very, getting your womb blessed, getting sexy time. They're seriously into getting a child at this point, which is kind of important.
Yeah, I think she's probably it's. There's a lot of pressure from family, and that's basically what they're meant to do. Yeah, it was interesting. One of the scenes where she was sort of lingering in a playground. I basically wrote down, "Yeah, no man could do that." She's like staring at the kids in the playground.
I know, and I find this scene very important, and this whole longing for a child thing very important, because later on, I'll talk about it later on, but the fact that she actually seems to really want a child is an important point in this movie, because later on it kind of maybe suggests otherwise.
Right. Yeah. So there's a whole sort of montage after they're actually they get the results that she's pregnant after she smokes a cigarette or something.
Yeah.
She has the envelope sealed and she's smoking a cigarette, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's probably not the best thing to be doing, but okay.
No, it's probably because she smoked. She got visited by all the bone monsters.
I'm not sure that's the medical diagnosis of when you smoke while you're pregnant.
Yeah, it's on the label on the cigarette box. Beware of bone monsters. Yeah, so like, I actually also noticed that the room that that you gave the results to the husband in looked like a room where you would record a podcast.
It did, all those egg carton style foam pads on the wall to absorb noise.
Yeah,
he seemed to have some sort of recording studio and a keyboard there, so I think he was in, I don't know, something to do with the movie industry, I think is what some reviewer said when I was doing a bit of Googling.
Yeah, well, he's a bit part in this. He really doesn't stand out.
He's a kind of a two-dimensional character in this. He's not really important.
No,
he's the provider of the baby juice.
Yeah, and maybe the face of sanity and reason during the whole ordeal. Anyway, she starts looking like crap pretty much instantly. She's making a cradle by hand. She's very useful and creative with her hand. You know, she goes to her family for Mother's Day. The sister is a little bit crabby at her, and yeah, this is a very important scene which you mentioned before we came on air. We don't usually talk too much about the movie, but we sort of mentioned this because you don't like body sounds.
I really despise, like, this is one of the reasons I have major issues. Like, I'm going to be heavily bad on this movie because she's cracking her knuckles like pretty heavily, and it's chalk on a whiteboard to me. It just melts my brain. But it's the whole way through the movie, which doesn't help me. Also in this scene, I think it was the mother is chopping up a chicken with a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
And then she takes two ends of the chicken and rips it in half effectively, which is a good indication of where this movie's going in terms of unpleasant scenes and unpleasant sounds.
Yeah, it's totally like, it's probably the major turning point for the movie, where this sort of chicken cracking is the sort of the finger snapping moment of the movie, where you're going to get a lot more of this. I thought of the mixture between chicken and finger. I thought of KFC finger snapping good.
Yeah,
finger cracking good. They're leaving that, and Octavia is this character Octavia, which is an old friend and flame of Valeria, stops the car and goes, "Yo, where you been, yo? You know, what's going on?" And you know, it's important to mention that because she comes back to play a major part.
Yeah, she's a big player later on.
Yeah, and she's as you said, she starts cracking her fingers quite regularly in this, and you can see the sort of anxiety building up. Obviously, her family is not nice, and
they were very unpleasant to her during the dinner scene. Where they decide to tell Raoul about her babysitting escapades. Where something went wrong and the kid fell downstairs and stuff like that. And I think maybe if you're not taking this solely as a body horror movie and you're looking at the psychological aspects of it, I think this is what possibly the trigger that puts her off the edge. In my mind, anyway. Like, you know, it makes her starts feeling a bit worried about how she's going to be around her child.
Yeah, I think it's an important scene, along with the chicken cracking.
Yeah.
It sets the scene of the tension in the family, and it obviously sets the scene where she says, "Oh, I can babysit," and that comes back to create an important scene later on. I think the first important sort of freaky scene, which I thought was very well done actually, was when she woke up in the middle of the night and she sees somebody standing out in the window, and she's having a sneaky cigarette again, I think, or maybe she's not. Can't remember. I think she just
hears a noise or something and wakes her up.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit freaky. And at this point, I haven't wrote the word stupid down in the side margin of my notes, because, you know, up to this point, nothing super weird has happened. It's just been a standard movie. She's got knocked up. Everything's kind of okie dokie, apart from the family visit, which is a bit unpleasant for her. But she hasn't got anything silly. She's gone to the window, she's looked out, and she sees this person with a very indistinct face standing in an apartment across the way. And then that person goes a bit wobbly, I think is the only way I can describe it. The neck starts moving at erratic angles, and then decides to climb up onto the balcony and then onto the street. And splat, legs at funny angles, not moving for a few seconds, but then decides to move. At this point, she freaks out, which is the correct thing to do.
Yeah, the corpse looks up at her quite quickly. I thought it was quite a good scene.
But the eyes are blurred, the nose there's no actual holes, there's no mouth. It's kind of freaky.
Yeah, I thought it was a decently shot scene, actually.
Yes.
So, so obviously, you know, the whole horror movie trope gets the husband. There's nobody there.
Yeah. Which is this is where I got getting annoyed, because I don't want more predictable horrors. But it is, as you say, a trope. It kind of has to be the way. If somebody's going to think you're mental, it adds to the the anguish that the main character is feeling, because not only have they seen something absolutely horrendous, everybody thinks you're mental as well. So
yeah,
I guess that adds to it. I guess it's a trope for a reason.
It felt pretty much. I was trying to figure out what movie it reminded me of, like where a person was obviously losing a bit of grip of insanity, but it's quite real to what's happening to them, but everybody thinks they're insane. I can't remember what movie it was reminding me of, but might come to me when we're talking.
I can't. I don't have a lot of horror movies to pull on because I'm genuinely trying to avoid the genre.
Me too.
I'm not a big fan of pooping my pants.
Yeah, my wife likes horror movies. She watched this with me. She stayed the course, and she just at the end of the movie, she just turned to me and went, "No."
I have to agree with your wife, but we'll go into that later.
Yeah. So in between that freaky scene and the next freaky scene, it's just pretty much, she's wasting away. She's lost 6 pounds.
Yeah.
And she's just losing a bit of grip on reality. So I think the next sort of freaky scene, which I actually really enjoyed.
See, this is where we're going to disagree the first time in this movie, because this one annoyed the crap out of me.
There's somebody at the door one.
Yeah.
When she went out.
Yeah.
It was quite funny, though. It was quite funny. It was like,
it's funny
from above.
Yes.
Well shot.
But the person crabs in. But my problem is 2 things. One, she goes to the door, doesn't wake the husband. Okay?
Yeah.
Stupid. It's horrific noise. I wouldn't go near the bloody door myself. I wouldn't go alone.
Second I know where you live, so don't blame you.
When you look out the spy thingy in the door, I don't know what you call that.
The peephole.
The peephole. Sorry, yes, I even wrote down peephole. Idiot.
Idiot.
Anyway, you look out the peephole, and the thing starts doing the thing you barely see in the dark. Starts doing the wobbly neck thing, which is clearly not standard human behavior.
Right.
My reaction would not be, I'd best open the door and go for a little walk. No.
It's a horror movie, though.
I know, but I don't like horror movies. I've seen a few horror movies that I've enjoyed. But when when the people start doing stuff that is not believable, you won't do that. That's stupid. Don't do that. You're going to get eaten by a bone monster.
You're like the scene in Scary Movie where she's yelling at the screen. Like I mentioned, the actress from the last movie, or 2 movies ago. What's her name? Look at my notes. I need to tie this back to a movie because that's really good when I do that. It makes me sound clever. Regina Hall in Scary Movie when they're in the movie theater too.
Yeah,
do not go in there. That's you.
At least Scary Movie, at least there's a bit of a sense to that. You're not doing stupid things just for the fun of it. I don't like just for the sake of being a horror movie, I'm going to do the stupid stuff.
I don't understand so to visualize it to the people who haven't seen the movie, it's looking from above and she goes down the stairs and the bone monster crawls in like a slug.
I'm going to go with crab.
Crabbed in. And I don't know how I guess she didn't see it. She just heard the door slamming, but she didn't really realize. She just freaked out. I think the door slammed. She didn't see it. We did as the viewers.
Yeah, but she also said that whatever it was went into the room to her husband, and he's in here. So
yeah, she was freaking out. Now at this point in time, I wanted to. I was looking at the actress's face, Natalia Solián, I think her name is, and she started to look a whole lot like Shelley Duvall in The Shining. Really,
exactly what I've written down.
Really,
yeah, very much like it. Like she's got kind of gaunt. She's not, she's kind of gaunt in the first place, but she really starts sinking in, and she looks in terrible condition. It's great. In fairness, it is good makeup work. Like she changes quite a lot. Yeah,
it's done very well. Did you like The Shining?
Oh, I love The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining.
Fuck.
No, the first time she hears of how she can be helped by the dark magic arts is when she goes to this old lady party with her auntie, I believe she is, and the auntie goes, yeah, you can get sorted out. What freaked me out in this scene was the small girl staring. She had this face that was just scary to me. No offense to the little girl, sorry, but she was just staring so intently at her. And it was the second time a little girl stared at her.
Yeah, there was the gynecology scene, or the gyno scene with the little blonde girl.
Yeah, she was
pulling
freaky
a creepy
too.
face. There's nothing scarier than a creepy little girl trying to creep you out. Trust me.
Yeah.
I have two.
So anyway, she shaman looks a bit worried. She's like going, all right, you're I'll do something
You have
for
some
you.
spider juice, that'll fix it.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
I didn't really get that. You know, what are you giving her?
I don't know what that was. Yeah, that was a bit
spider fixie thing.
It was a bit odd.
Yeah.
So for a while there, I noticed like it felt like she thought she was getting better, and I felt the production colors were a bit more pastel-y in this sequence.
Yeah, and she takes a visit to the guy now, and he says, "Oh, you put on like was it 6 pounds or 9 pounds or something like that?" And again, she's not as gaunt as we mentioned earlier, so things are picking up.
But then she has a freaky sonogram where the sonogram looks a bit weird.
Yeah, but they all look weird. I've been sonograms, and it's a freaky looking thing. I think maybe that's one of the points of this movie, in that when you're using your body as a gestational device for another creature, it has to be a bit freaky in a body horror style thing in the first place.
Yeah, anytime somebody shows me a sonogram after kids, I don't know what I'm looking at. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a blob with more blobs and some blobs.
I'll congratulate you when, I see something that resembles a human. Anyway. I think the best scene where we both jumped when we watched it was the next freaky scene where she is she's lying in bed and
I'm gonna be
having a little snooze, and we see it from her perspective, kind of. We see the corridor dimly lit, and we see a figure jerkily walking it up, and we're like, "Oh, that's freaky!" But then suddenly, the creaky hand comes up from the side of the bed, grabs her foot, and twists it and breaks it. And it just got me by surprise. It was very clever.
The speed of it was what actually. I this is the only jump I had in the whole movie. But it was the speed in which it goes from it's outside, it walks past the doorway.
Yeah.
But then the hand comes up and there's no continuous scene. So that bit's actually done well. That's a jump. They're like, yeah,
that was good. It was well done, actually. And that got me. That actually is probably the best scene of the movie.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
You remember Terror Hawks?
Oh, dear God, yes. With the little round fellas.
Yeah. But you remember the old witch in that? That's what I imagined her hand to look like. This grey.
My God, Terror Hawks. Okay, that's a flash from the past.
Yeah. Anyway, so so then she's having a bath, and then she puts her head underwater, and that brings her back to an exhibition of how she knew Octavia and how they were quite in love with each other, really, and they had plans for the future and yada yada yada. So then, basically, to make it short, I don't want to go through every scene here. She hooks up with Octavia again in a Truman-esque plot.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I wrote down stupid on the side of my page. You make some questionable decisions throughout the whole thing. Now, I get that there's kind of a subplot here that society and her family and friends have kind of half forced her down, choosing a more conventional lifestyle and a conventional path for her life to go down. And True. Perhaps that's not necessarily where she wanted to go.
True. Yeah, I agree. Maybe that's, she is in a turmoil, and so she maybe wanted.
She latches on to something that brought her happiness in the past. Is my explanation, perhaps? No,
that's a good explanation, and we'll go with that one. I think the next big scene is when she's babysitting. It's a very stressful and manic scene that is basically produced with
Barky
sound.
dog.
Yeah, the barking dog constantly barks, and obviously, if anybody has lived beside a barking dog and it's not yours, you go
Stress,
nuts.
baby.
And so,
Yeah.
for the entirety of this babysitting scene where she's trying to look after these little brats of kids, this dog is barking, and it adds a lot of tension to the scene. And anyway, she thinks there's somebody in the house. She runs with the kids, and the dog ends up with a broken neck from straining against the leash, but probably bone monster got him.
Definitely a bone monster.
Yeah. Yeah. So they hate her then, basically. She doesn't like that.
And she's coming to the point where she's near her lowest point. I think she then, instead of heading home to the husband, she goes back to Octavia.
Has some fun.
She has some fun, sexy times again.
I thought go ahead, sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say this then leads into the dinner party with Raoul and his friends from work, I'm assuming.
I don't know what they were. Like, what were they doing there? They're talking about the crib, about something. I just didn't get why they were there. I thought they were selling it.
Again, part of my dislike for this movie is it doesn't really explain what's going on. It doesn't, like, the whole Raoul thing is very thin. You know, his friends and his family and even his mother, very thin little coating of Raoul, but no real explanation about their relationship or what's going on there. And so these dinner guests, they're not explained. They're not explained what they're doing there. I found this scene to be very weak.
Yeah, it's just another little addition to her losing her sanity a bit more, and you know, the music as well was weird. It was like Birdman jazz, you know, like if they just kept on ratcheting up with the jazz. And so, she goes into the baby's room and smokes a cigarette and sets the crib on fire after she sees some lady, the bone monster's hands, breaking the cribs.
She picks a slot on the side of the crib.
The next thing we see the mother-in-law giving her a pep talk, and I kind of like the way it's focused on the needles clicking, clacking. You probably hated that still, but again,
I despise the noise in this movie the whole way through. If I'm honest, all of it is. I suppose it's all intentionally to put you on edge.
Yeah, it's a major device for the entire story is the noise, and you know, from the chicken breaking to the needle clacking and knuckles. You know what it reminds me of a little bit, like especially the dinner scene where the noise of people slurping on and chewing on meat and whatever. It reminded me very much of the scene in the Lord of the Rings. I think it was the third one where the chap in charge of Gondor, when his son had been killed, he's eating tomatoes and it's this mess slurpy and horrible noises, very much like that, and it used to effect in this movie. I just didn't really enjoy it at all. Now I know one of your pet hates. Yes. Let's wrap this up because we've really analyzed a lot of the scenes. I think at the end of the day, she has this she runs away. The mother-in-law is there or something, and she has a dream sequence, and she has the baby in the middle of a mosh pit. Yeah, so she went to visit Octavia again. Octavia basically told her to sod off. You're just using me for whatever, blah, 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 blah. She goes to a mosh pit. Again, I wrote down stupid because you're, 8 months pregnant or 9 months pregnant? Yeah. Don't go to a mosh pit. And then the wobblyhead guys turn up in the mosh pit as well. Yeah, there's something there. Just it's not well shot. It's very it flashes lights and everything. It's chaotic, and again, probably intentionally chaotic. And then she drops to the floor and enters labor. In the next scene, she's in the hospital, and actually, what I did like about the next scene was she gives birth, and I think intentionally, she gives birth, and everybody seems to just leave her. Yeah. It was and then weird. one person out of 9 people comes back and says, "Okay, it's time to stitch you up." So but it showed her the hook. Yeah. I think that was done well. Previous scene annoyed me.
this scene doesn't make up for the previous scene, but it helps a little bit.
Yeah, that was a quite a cold sort of. You could see the baby be just been taken away from her, and yeah, that sort of gave you a cold sort of feeling to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's now a mother, and she's actually really not well at all still, and it's they leave her alone with the baby, and I just put down, why you leave her alone? She was a mess. She's a mess.
There's my next stupid sub aside. Why is Daddy leaving the kid with a nutter in his eyes? He believes his wife is mental. He's got mental problems at this point.
Yeah, and
leaves a newborn. No.
Yeah, I think the next sequence is quite well done, and I'll go through why I think it is. Obviously, she's freaking out. The baby is crying constantly. She lies down. She gets up, and we see the baby monitor, and it's quite small in the bed stand, so we can't really see what's kind of going on. But we see hands going in, and the baby being removed, and then we hear the baby crying, going quieter and quieter. Then she goes back to bed, and then it cuts to the next day, and she wakes up, and she's just like going, I'm waking up. It's nice, and what the hell did I do last night? And then us as the audience are thinking, oh my God, she killed the baby. I have what the hell is going on? She runs to the window, and it's like, yeah, that's a good mirroring if actually the baby is dead on the ground outside. Sorry to put it that way, but it would mirror the bone monster from
the first bone monster. Yeah.
So then she's just she kind of, I think she hears crying and stuff, and
barely audible, and she's like, where the hell does that come from? And she starts freaking out, running around the place trying to find the source of this noise. Eventually she decides to go for a glass of milk, I'm assuming, and opens the fridge, and there's a baby. Hey.
And the baby
she's not happy at this point. She's sitting on the ground hugging the baby, crying her eyes out, which is understandable.
Yeah. Have you ever put your kids in the fridge?
They're in the fridge right now. It's when they're naughty, they go into the freezer.
Chill out, kids. Yeah. That's what you say to them.
Like Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze, yeah. You put the Arnie accent on too.
Of course.
Get in the freezer.
I can't remember the one-liners.
Don't interrupt my children. They're dead, chilled. Yeah. Anyway, listen.
Yeah.
She goes to the witches and says, do the bad stuff, do the big stuff that you kind of alluded to earlier on. There's a massive sort of drug-induced sequence. Yeah. Like, listen, I thought it was very well shot, but she goes in, and there's a pile of bone monster people there, and it's not really scary. It's just kind of like people. They did a bit of a Constantine. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie where he flips over to hell, and he does so by basically drowning himself. Or actually, that's not. He did, yeah. But anyway, that's not the point. It's kind of like that. She goes into the upside down. Yeah. Listen, I think me and you have a different opinion of this scene. It annoyed the crap out of me. I thought the Kit Kat moment where she gets him covered by wobbly head monsters. Why did you call it a Kit Kat moment?
Well, let's have a break, I started snapping her limbs.
Yeah.
That annoyed me. And some of the special effects here I found weak. The bones protruding from her legs and her arms look like, I don't know, twigs that have been glued on with a bit of ketchup. That's just my take on it.
I thought it went on for too long. I thought it's stretched. It's stretched. It felt like a video game, an easy level of a video game where you go into the dream sequence and you just have to.
I've played a lot of horror video games, and I actually quite enjoy them. And they all give me a jump. This is the culmination of a movie, a horror movie. Effectively, what this is, it should be scary.
Yeah,
this was not scary. This bit was not scary.
No, it wasn't at all. And I don't like looking at horror movies when I think there's a jump scare coming, but there was no jump scares apart from the bed, hand, break, leg thing.
Yeah,
but
that bit was done very well. I think if you take this as a horror movie, it doesn't give that.
No, I thought the set design in this final sequence was quite beautifully constructed.
I think the cinematography around it, the lighting, fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the budget shows a little bit in some of the special effects, but the cinematography, yes, they've done that well. But I think maybe the budget hurts.
Yeah. Anyway, she keeps hold of the baby blanket, and she wins. She wins the level, and she moves on to the next level of leaving her husband and child alone. That's the end of the movie, where for after all of this, she actually has to leave her family.
Yeah, it doesn't explain why she F's off.
No, where's she going?
I think she just wants to hook up with Octavia and be done with the whole thing.
In the Montagna.
Yeah, so that annoyed the crap out of me as well.
I think this movie could not have saved your hatred of it because of its essence of bone cracking.
No, I disagree with that. I wouldn't have watched it on purpose because of these audio horrible textures. But had it had a proper twist, had it been... I know there's probably supposed to be a psychological element that I'm supposed to be bothered reading into. But I didn't particularly like the main character, is a slight problem. Raoul is undeveloped.
Yeah.
Octavia is actually an interesting character. Her aunt was an interesting character, but the main character I found a bit... She just keeps doing stupid stuff, and that annoys me. Had that been different, had it been a bit smarter around that, then maybe I think I would have liked it. Because there's elements to this that are very well done. Don't get me wrong. And the acting is actually quite good. I just think the plot and some of there's plot holes in my eyes. It's just a bit silly at times.
Yeah, I'm very quick to hate characters in movies, but I didn't really hate her at all, really, to be honest with you. I felt I think the actress, Natalia Solián, did a very good job at it. And
I agree completely. Like, she was very good. I just don't like the person she was playing all that much. Reminds me of Katniss Everdeen. Like, I really enjoyed the movies, The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But I hated the character.
Sure. That's your prerogative.
Yeah.
It's my prerogative. All right, so what are you giving out of 5 for a plot?
I give it 0.5.
Oh, damn.
I know.
Snap my fingers and go, oh.
Don't snap your fingers. Certainly don't crack them.
No. I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5. I appreciated the way they told the story. I feel like it was, I don't know, I think it's got a few stereotypical tropes in it, but I feel the acting and quite a few of the scenes, the way the scenes are shot, actually help the plot along the way. And the fact that it's in Spanish probably helped it, because I don't really, I kind of...
You're scared of foreigners.
Yeah, and I think that if it was in English, it would probably feel more like a Z movie to me, and bargain bin. So I gave it 2.5 out of 5. Acting, what would you give it?
Acting, I was a bit more generous. I gave this 2.5 out of 5. I thought she was very good. Raoul, not a player. I thought the aunt was very good, and I thought Octavia was very good. But that's really all there is to it in terms of actors. I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I'm slightly bigger. I gave 3.3 out of 5, just because I think she really does that Shelley Duvall sort of descent into madness and just, lack of sleep type. That's very true. She really it is very much like a parallel with The Shining in that respect. Yeah, she was nominated for an Ariel Award for her thing, and I don't know if she won it or not, but anyway. Soundtrack was nothing to me. I gave it 1 out of 5. Like, I just didn't notice it. I hated the soundtrack in this. I didn't really notice it. I couldn't tell you. Well, there's a lot of like punk rock and progressive rock, Mexican style, and it is garbage. Yeah. I gave it 0.25. Oh, look at you, me.
I am. You are mean today.
Yeah, you are me and mean. Yeah, so
I wrote down no bueno against this.
well done, Spanish 101. You're learning something. Pity we didn't learn Spanish for bone. Production, I gave 3.5 out of 5, just because I think if the production lacked, then everything else would have suffered. And I think the production was of high quality. I thought the cinematography was very good.
Yeah.
I thought the set design was very good. There was a very good use of color throughout the movie, and I think it echoed the sort of side of mentality and the moods that are in the scenes. I think I copped on that when she felt a little better in the halfway point in the movie, the pastel colors sort of came in a little bit, but then when she was going crazier, it got all blue and eerie. So sound effects you hated, but I obviously don't have an issue. Yeah. I don't have an issue with bones. I don't really like people cracking their knuckles, and but I don't have a problem with it. I thought it was done quite well.
So for me, on the production side of things, again, cinematography, as you said, fantastic, and the settings well done. Good choice of scenes to shoot, fantastic. I had penned this down at 3.25, but on rethinking about what we've just said and the Kit Kat scene, if you will, where the bones were protruding, that annoys me so much remembering it that I've marked it back down to 2.5, because it didn't need to be that poorly executed on that piece, which should be important when kind of the movie's about bone wobbly head monsters.
True. Yeah. I don't know what their budget was, but who knows? Maybe they didn't get enough for fake bone Kit Kat things.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's snap our fingers and finish this off.
Not our knuckles.
Yeah, let's hope we don't get the Bone Collector for the next movie or something.
Yeah.
Matt Donato at IGN gave it 60 out of 100. He said, the horrors of childbirth become entangled in a demonic subplot as Huesera fits neatly into the list of chilling pregnancy horror tales, but doesn't add much new to it. Yes, I don't think it's a horror movie. I think it's not. It's mainly a sort of a
psychological thriller or something like that.
Yeah. Natalia Winkleman at the New York Times gave it 100 out of 100.
Get the boat.
She says, Huesera is the type of staggering supernatural nightmare that is as transfixing as it is terrifying.
Nope.
So there you have it. Nope. So yeah, so that's Huesera in a nutshell. We wouldn't have never watched it, obviously, if it read that it's a body horror thing and it involves lots of breaking of bones. But let's move on to episode 23 and see what comes up for us.
Cool.
And we've got 5,830.
Nice.
That shouldn't be too bad. All right. Movie number 5,830 is a movie ranked at 67 out of 100. It's a PG movie from 1975.
Crikey.
It's called The Wind and the Lion.
The Wind and the Lion, that's new to me.
Yeah, so the synopsis is, in early 20th century Morocco, a Sharif kidnaps an American woman and her children, forcing President Theodore Roosevelt to send in forces to conduct a rescue mission. It's got Candice Bergen in it. It's got Sean Connery in it.
I think I've seen this.
Really?
A long time ago. Back when I had like a black and white TV that only had 3 or 4 stations.
Well, it's a Sean Connery-led movie, so it's gonna be.
If I remember this correctly, it's not great.
Might be along the lines of Stick. It's around that same era.
Yeah. Hey, anyway, not Stick.
No. It's 119 minutes, so it's not bloody short. That's for sure. Anyway, that's fine. We look forward to a Sean Connery rescue escapade adventure series with no James Bond quotes. Yeah. Okay, so that was the end of episode 22. Huesera, the bone woman, is laid to rest in a pile of her own bones. Oh, yeah, sorry, colon. There's no colon in The Wind and the Lion, so we're out of the grammatical era of 15K plus podcast. So anyway, we'll see you on the next one. And if you like this, please continue to rate it on all of your platforms that you're listening to us on. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.